What's going on, y'all? Welcome into a brand new episode of Snaps here on YouTube, youtube.com/@SnapCFB_. If you're hanging out here in the chat, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell, all those good. Stop sniffing into the mic, Aaron. I know you're outside at the lake and maybe you got some pollen or something going on, but I would say it was the Coke sniffles, but you don't exactly strike me as a amphetamine user too much, so probably not. What's up, though, guys? So, again, like, subscribe, all things you can to help grow the channel. We'll get into today's show. We got a really good show for you today on this random Thursday. First off, three, what I believe to be, well, different levels of importance, but three pretty major rule changes in the NCAA concerning college football that I would actually say are all kind of W's for the NCAA. It's the most positive I've felt about NCAA news piece in, I don't know, maybe years. Blue chip ratio from Bud Elliott and the CBS boys is officially out, and we could draw a lot of conclusions from it and predictions, and there's a lot of takes to be had. If you're wondering what blue chip ratio is, we will discuss it. Also, EA Sports College Football 25 just came out with their top 10 offenses. We'll see if we agree or disagree. And we'll do our Texas A&M and South Carolina schedule today if we have time. Thank you, Sean Michael. I love this shirt. I have my Grateful Dead at the Sphere Vegas shirt on. Unfortunately, forgot that it's tie-dye and there's green. And I'm on a green screen, so it literally looks like you can see through me. Like, look at my armpit, dude. That's crazy.
You're like the character on The Boys I started watching last night. Mr. Walk around naked and just see this weirdest. Always great with the first episode where you get the rating of SSC. What is it? Super sexual content or whatever the hell the rating was for The Boys. The man just walk around with this thing just popping out.
Yeah, I mean, The Boys is a lot of gratuitous violence, a lot of gratuitous sex, a lot of over-the-top superheroes and villain shenanigans. It's very good for the most part. Again, in this newest season, I still haven't watched episode 4. I opted to watch an episode of Fallout instead yesterday, which is a very fun show itself. But again, the first 3 episodes of this newest season of The Boys, I need a little bit more story and plot advancement. But as you said, you're just starting like the whole journey from the very beginning. Well, I think you got a lot of fun. Yeah, I think you got a lot of fun.
We literally we were scrolling last night in a new show, and I saw it. I said, "Oh, T likes that." And Sharon's brother, just as we were deciding if we were going to trust you or not to pick our next episode to start watching, text us saying, "Watch The Boys." So there you go. Meant to be. Two good sources.
All right. Should we just dive into the show? Skip a little bit of the big banner at the beginning. Again, guys, please, if you're watching live, go ahead and hit that share button. Let's get as many people in here as we can. And shout out to Fonz and Sean and Bill and Scott and Goat Dog and Shadow and everybody else hanging out with us right now. All right. I don't want to spend too long on the rule changes, but let's go through them. So the NCAA has officially approved a rule change that will allow all football staff members to provide coaching instruction during practice and the game. So up until now, yes, you have these giant shadow staffs, like a ton of analysts, but they technically are not supposed to be allowed to work with the players directly. They're supposed to be shadow staff behind the scenes. Of course, this is something that everybody was kind of pushing the envelope with. On practice days, not really game day, you couldn't really get away with it then, but on practice days, maybe you'd have guys out there, compliance is coming over, you hit the alarm, everybody scatters, so whatever. To me, this is the first example of a theme that we're going to see in these rule changes, which is the NCAA, for the first time in a long time, looking at the situation, accepting the realities of the situation, and instead of trying to fight against them and swim upstream with them, they've done rule changes to say, okay, how can we exist within said realities? So now, as many coaches as you have on the staff, you can put as many out there to help coach on the practice field, as many out there to help coach on game day as you want. Importantly, it does not carry over to recruiting. You still have your normal limitations on GAs, assistants, and everybody else that can recruit. So you can't just have like 200 people doing visits. constantly. Aaron, I think this is a very good change. And my head immediately goes to who's going to figure it out. Who's going to figure it out and gain a slight advantage going into this season the same way that Nick Saban did in building shadow staff originally, or the same way that Mel Tucker did?
Well, imagine what about Nick Saban it could have done with that shadow staff if they were allowed to have full reign and do whatever they want.
Well, okay, but this is my question though. What we don't know what the best practices are. It's not just more is better.
No, 100%. But his more was better though. Like his more and coaches on that staff were some of the best minds in college football that were doing the quote unquote behind the scenes special assignments. And Bobo was doing this at Georgia. I saw it. Bobo was in charge of say a third down situations. Bobo from Sunday to Wednesday, you're working on just third downs. And when the offense is ready to essentially get into that part of the game plan, and when Monken needed it, Bobo already had that to present to him. So it took that off the offensive coordinator. Now a guy like that in that role can actually help in practice, which goes a long way.
I mean, I think that though, but how do you know which guys get to help in practice and which guys don't? Where do you draw the line? Would that not be a bit confusing if all of a sudden you had a pseudo OC and Mike Bobo walking in and being like, "Hey, actually now, guys, it's my turn to coach." Like I think there's too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Maybe that guy can focus on the backups. Like I'm saying, like maybe you have Bobo saying, okay, instead of monking, developing, and sorry, I keep going to the Georgia example here, but I saw it firsthand with Bobo and how he worked with Monken. So and I know that's a perfect example of kind of probably what happened at Alabama and what happens to other places of like, hey, Bobo, you focus on the backup quarterbacks or the backup offensive linemen or the backup receivers. That way I can solely focus on the starters, because as a coach, you do have to develop, especially in this era where guys are transferring. You have to make the backups feel like they are getting the reps, getting the attention, getting the necessary one-on-one time to feel like, hey, if I stay another year with this development, I have a chance to be the guy. Well, now you can give more attention to everyone from legit coaches. So I think that's a positive there. So when you have a place like Alabama or Georgia, or I'm sure Texas, that have legit coaches playing behind the scenes, that goes a long way. So Nick could have done a lot more damage. I don't know how much more damage he could have done, but it would have been, nice for him to fully utilize that shadow staff.
I like the backup angle as we seek to find best practices, because look, I think there will be some teams that don't engage with this because maybe they just like, I already have my way of practicing, I don't want to change, right? They'll probably get left behind a bit. There's going to be teams that over engage with this. Like Fonzarelli says, no, with this rule, Sunbelt Billy at Florida, so horny. I mean, imagine how many coaches Billy Napier can get involved now. Nobody is happier than Billy Napier with this rule.
Have more practices. I don't know what you did back in the day, but this is a new theme nowadays. We would do ones versus twos or ones versus ones, and then everyone else would watch. And then we would take a break. Then the twos versus twos and ones versus twos, however you want to do it, would then go. So you kind of rotate. There was one practice, and that was it. Nowadays, if you go to a lot of practices, and you saw this in the NFL a little bit, but you don't have the roster numbers to do it, some teams have 2 or 3 practices going on at the same time. You have ones versus ones going on one field. You have 2v2s going on another field, and you have 3-on-3 going on another field. It's a lot more tape. A lot more eyeballs have to watch the practice, but you're getting a lot more reps because your 2s and 3s are getting the same amount of reps as your 1s because you have 3 practices going on. So now that you have more coaches, you guys can assist. You can essentially have 3 practices going on. Your 1s are game planning, your 2s are developing, and your 3s are developing as well. People aren't just sitting on their fucking hands doing nothing. I think
it's I look, guys, as we look for best practices, I think Aaron, with some great insight here, has laid out a couple of ways in which these extra coaches could be used really effectively early on. So again, I'm going to be fascinated seeing we're like 2 years removed from this, what the major schools are doing and how they are applying this. The second rule change, the NCAA voted to remove cannabinoids from the banned drug class for championships and postseason participation in football. For those that don't know, a true NCAA drug test will come around once a year. on most major teams. A random few guys will be selected. If you fail for anything, it's a full calendar year that you are suspended for. Calendar. Of course, I think we talked about this randomly on Snaps the other day. I can't remember what it was for, but didn't we say, like, why in the world is marijuana still a banned substance? Like, it is objectively not.
I think we're talking about, like, why is marijuana just not legal everywhere at this point? But
yeah, I mean, it basically is legal everywhere, right? And that's another factor in here. But, well, imagine this. Again, the NCAA, accepting reality as it is, here's their reasoning for making this rule change. Quote, the NCAA drug testing program is intended to focus on integrity of competition, and cannabis products do not provide a competitive advantage. The council's focus is on policies centered on student-athlete health and well-being rather than punishment for cannabis use. Like, fuck yeah. I mean, did it take forever to come around to this? Sure, but, like, they got here. And that's something I never thought the NCAA would do. An additional detail that I love, any penalties currently being served by student athletes who have previously tested positive, discontinued. You are now, you are immediately set free. So, yeah, I think, and by the way, everything we're talking about today goes into effect immediately as well this football season. This is great, Aaron. Not much more to say on it besides, yeah, if anything, marijuana just helps in terms of recovery and therapeutic use. Not like anything else, it can be abused.
Did it change in the NFL? I'm trying to find that right now. I feel like there's been some updates on the NFL. I wonder if that pushed it at all. Not 100%.
I mean, I do know in the NFL they used to test you for street drugs only one time a year, and if you were disciplined enough to pass that test, it didn't matter. You could smoke whatever you want.
It was a way for them just to say, hey, we're doing this just to do it, but from a PR standpoint.
Well, and it was also, I think, a way to be like, are you disciplined enough to just like pass the one? Like can you deny yourself weed for just long enough to pass the one tester in camp? Yeah, for 4 weeks, which sucks. But can you pass?
So they reduced the penalty, and I think the NBA ditches marijuana testing under their new CBA.
No, the NBA definitely does not test for weed. I mean, duh.
I mean, the NFL was a lot easier. I felt like our team meetings, a good majority of the guys were, high during the meetings. Guys would smoke before the games, but there was no testing. Like you said, you got tested once in the offseason, you passed it, you were done. College football, that was always stressful because you would always see Ron Corson, our team physician, would come up after practice, and you knew what he was about to do.
Yeah, he would pull out his list. You're not allowed to get out of his eyesight until he sees that dick.
Yeah, he would pull out the list and run through about 10 to 15 guys, and everyone's heart would just sink when he would name a couple. And we were like, yeah.
So y'all had legit drug testing, because I know many of my SEC peers that did not during our time, and LSU definitely did. I mean, we fucking kicked Tyrann Mathieu off the team. So stupid.
We kicked Sokro off the team, but he also had a gun with the serial number scratched off. So I mean, Sokro, Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah, Isaiah Crowell. Yeah, okay, I didn't know it was Sokro. Yeah, hell
yeah. I got tested a lot. I feel like they just let's just throw Aaron on there because we know that he's not smoking, just to say that we are testing legit starters.
Yeah. I mean,
they got to see my wee a lot, unfortunately.
I know of other schools where they would let you know ahead of time, and so guys would like line up, clean pee, all that other stuff. I've told my fake dick story wearing it to work, never in football. Optimus Climb says T-Bob talking about weed on a Grateful Dead with a Grateful Dead shirt on. What a stereotype. Yeah, look, I love weed. I love psilocybin mushrooms. I love alcohol. I like a cheeky cig, I like all these things. I just do. And maybe it's a suburban white guy in me. I just love things that alter the state of my mind. Even though I think I legitimately do use marijuana like medicinally in terms of just like anxiety, just kind of getting through everyday life and whatnot. All right. And then finally, Aaron, you'll be happy to know you hate the NCAA calendar, right?
I hate it so much.
Okay. Well, how about this? Let's look at the situation and come up with a good solution. Early signing day, first week of December. Love it. first week of December. So after the season ends, before postseason play begins, you get done with all the recruiting. Then you actually enter a dead period until January, which I imagine would pick up after the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And they've extended that January period, so you're not losing any actual recruiting time. That's a big, easy win change. Also, a dead period from July 1st to July 31st, where nobody's allowed to recruit and coaches can focus on just getting ready for the season, making the final tune-ups, maybe a little time off for some staff to kind of charge up the batteries before everything kicks in. But yeah, look, that's like the first week of December sign day is a very smart change.
Way better than doing it. I mean, because they have to. It needed to be done before the playoffs. I'm interested to see if there's any change with the calendar eventually for the transfer portal. Because you remember that issue that brought up last year, especially with Texas and their backup quarterback hitting the portal right before the playoffs or the national championship, whenever it was. Like, that's something that still needs to be discussed. But to knock out the early signing day, to get that done, boom, done, we're over with, and then playoffs start right afterwards, I think is really good especially for the coaches. I mean, I know that there's these monster staffs, but like you said earlier, you still have a limitation on who cannot recruit. So you have more teams that need to focus on the playoffs, to focus on a better product for us as the consumer to watch. I don't want those coaches out there trying to sign one more 5-star guy. I want them getting ready for the damn football game. So huge win. Still needs to get cleaned up some more, but I think that's a big, as you put in our notes, 3 for 3, I think, for the NCAA with the news that we just got.
You know how online people like to say like the rare T-Bob W or the common T-Bob W. I would say these are 3 rare dubs for the NCAA here. So congrats to the NCAA. All right. Blue chip ratio is out. Where was earlier somebody talked about how blue chip ratio means nothing. I mean, look, like you're stargazing. Like Jake Hester hates blue chip ratio.
Why? It only makes so much sense that the teams that more players that are elite are gonna fucking win.
Yes. Like I think you start this conversation. What is it? What is it not? All it is a measure of raw talent on the roster as evaluated by high school recruiting services, which you can shit on, but are actually pretty damn accurate. I talk about this all the time. Recruiting rankings in the micro, I don't care about. Like, yeah, individual players will go boom or bust. But in the macro, these guys get it right more often than not. Like, Aaron, a couple of stats that were buried in Bud Elliott's article, 4 and 5 stars, 10 times as likely to be drafted in the first round. Okay. 5 stars, 33 times as likely to be All-Americans than 2 stars. Okay. The guys know who the good players are. It's never 100% hit rate, but it's a pretty solid science when you think about all the big time recruiting services. And so with that, all blue chip ratio is looking at the percentage of your roster made up of 4 and 5 stars. It does not mean you're going to be a good team. As you'll see, there are some hugely underperforming teams on this list. And in fact, I am a believer though, because I do trust the recruiting rankings. When you see a massive disconnect between a team's talent level and its performance, that lies at the coaches of the feet. Or at the feet of the coaches. So like we will see some coaches that should be criticized for their results based on the talent that they have, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to be good. It's not the end all. And so you just have to approach it the correct way, and it gives you a lot.
Yeah, but what's the stat though? But the teams that generally are the ones that are winning it or have true legit, are legit contenders at the end of the day are the ones that have the higher ones.
No team. So they started doing this 11 years ago. No team that is under 50% has ever won. Now, TCU and Washington made it. They got their ass kicked, but they made it. So that's impressive. There's been, okay, let's. I
think we said it before too. Like you will boom and bust on multiple players.
Yeah.
But you're not going to bust on if you have your roster, if you say Georgia, Alabama, Texas.
You want to bust on multiple players? Which one? Just give me Aaron Murray's top 3 players he wants to bust on. Is Carson Beck on the list?
That's a good looking player.
No, for real. Do you want to bust on Carson Beck?
No, I don't. No. But you have 10 5-stars. You ain't going to bust on all of them.
No, you're not going to bust on all of them. I mean, you're probably only going to bust on a couple. The other ones are going to boom. I agree. Now, look, so yes, like Michigan winning last year, that's more of a developmental team, only a 54% blue chip ratio. Georgia in 22, 77. Georgia 21, 80. Bama in 2020, 83. LSU in 2019, 64. And you go through the years and you see this. Now, one thing that is interesting to think about, the teams that have gotten closest to winning without being overwhelming in the 70s and 80s, or the ones that have one, if you have an elite quarterback, they can drag up a lesser roster by its bootstraps. Like
Auburn. 2010 Auburn.
Auburn's generally in the blue chip ratio.
No, I know they are, but what were they? I would love to know what they were in 2010 because that's roster,
the year before this started. That's true. That's the year before this started. They probably would not have made it, arguably.
I don't think they would have.
But like Florida State in 2013 with Jameis Winston only at 53%.
Damn.
Clemson 2016 only 52%, but they had Trevor Lawrence. When Clemson lost to Alabama, they actually almost became the only sub 50 team to win it, but Alabama barely ends up beating them. So again, it's just a metric. So what we look at now is, okay, let's see everybody who's over 50%, and those are the teams that have a chance to win the national championship. Bo Molinari says this statistic has always thrown the most backlash on my Aggies. 5-star ratio. Well, we're going to talk a lot about your Aggies during this because I think you should be I'd be feeling pretty good if I was an A&M fan. Anyway, I feel like we've done enough preamble. Are we ready to get in a list? Yes? Are you listening, Aaron? Can you hear me?
I'm listening. Maddox has decided he wants to join the show.
Hey, Maddox, what's up, dude? What's going on, bro? How's the lake?
Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, great job. Hey, Maddox.
Hey, I went to the microscope. Okay.
Maddox, who's better, LSU or Georgia?
This is my show. Hey.
This is my show. Yeah, tell him. Yeah, tell him, Maddox. Get it. Nice camera with the automatic follow and zoom there. Wow. What is that camera? An owl? It flipped 180 degrees around. It's amazing. Sorry for those listening on pod. That is Aaron's adorable son right there. And they are outside at the lake and I'm alone in my office. Yeah. Aaron, turn your mic back on.
We're live. Let's go.
Okay. We are back. Now, I want to do this. We are going to look at this is the 16 teams that surpassed the 50% threshold. And then I want to kind of rank them, come up with a snaps, maybe top 10 for who we think will actually have the best chance of winning the national championship. But let's start.
God, Alabama at 88. That is...
Okay, here's another thing to note. So if you let me zoom in on this a little bit to make it a little bit bigger for our viewers. But the number in parentheses is the blue chip ratio after transfers. Now, Bud Elliott explains this in his piece. He tends to just really focus on the high school number because that is such an exact science where we're still learning how to scout and evaluate the transfer portal, but we'll still get into what those numbers mean. Ohio State leading the way, 90% of their signees, 4 and 5 stars. Alabama, 88. UGA, 80. A&M, 79. Oregon, 76. Oklahoma, 73. Texas, 72. LSU, 70. Notre Dame, 67. Clemson, 64. Florida, 63. Miami, 61. Penn State, 61. USC, 59. And Michigan, 56%. Aaron, what immediately...
Don't forget, who's 16?
Sorry.
Auburn.
And Auburn is 53%. And... Well, if you factor in transfers, Auburn actually falls off the list and Florida State actually bumps on.
Interesting.
To 53%. Well, let's get into the transfer conversation next. But first, when you look at this raw dog list, Aaron, what jumps off to you?
It goes into the conversation we've had, I feel like, on and off throughout this offseason. Alabama's going to be Alabama. Even without Nick
talk
Saban.
To yourself about that, because
I know
you're the
I
one
have.
that has been doubting.
I know. Well, not yesterday. I've slowly come over to the side of, and I think it's partly, talking with some people that are close to the program, that is a very talented roster, and that is a very good coach, and they have the resources. And from all accounts, Jalen, you talk to people too, Jalen is really taking a step up throwing the football. So, like, if he does take a step up throwing the football,
really?
Yeah.
You don't say.
And you know this, I've said this. Jalen is not my biggest worry. It's the receivers are my biggest worry. And they've been for the past 2 years for Alabama.
No doubt.
They have not had the elite guys on the outside. Alabama's going to be good up front. Jalen's going to be a Heisman contending quarterback, even if he didn't progress like tremendously as a thrower. He's just too good of an athlete. He was a contender last year, for goodness sakes. They're going to have running backs. They're going to have a defense. Do they have guys on the outside that can take their game to another level? That's going to be the thing that stops them from winning a championship, or gives me more confidence if I'm an Alabama fan to say that they can win a championship this year. So that's going to be goal number one for Kalen DeBoer this offseason, I believe, or heading into the season. So, like, that should jump out to everyone. Alabama ain't going anywhere. That is a true national championship contender.
Yeah.
And then Oregon at 5 jumps out to me too, man.
It's
like
crazy.
Dan Lanning's got a hell of a team that he's getting ready for.
How is Dan Lanning passed up all the big dogs so quickly?
Because the coach you hated before
was
recruiting great. He's always
Christopher
always recruited well. It's one thing he could do.
But Lanning's even upped it from Christopher. I don't think Christopher was ranking as high as Lanning is.
No, but they were still top 10.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay, maybe they were. I'll have to double check. I don't know the facts. I will say this: Oregon just rocketing past Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, Clemson, like, kind of does blow my mind to be that high on that list.
Yeah.
So the Dan Lanning stock continues to rise. I think Texas A&M jumps off the page here. Now, obviously, you see the little number in parentheses next to
drop
him,
though for the transfers,
but they're still. But look at everybody drops though. When you factor in transfers,
but not that much.
Every major
16% drop.
They're the biggest drop, but they're still 8th in the country. Yeah. Okay, so you're telling me even after losing all those transfers, they still have the 8th most 4 and 5 stars in the country. They have a returning quarterback that you think is very good. True?
Yeah, I think Wigman's good. Yeah.
They have a strength coach that I think is the best to ever fucking do it in Tommy Moffitt. And they have Mike Elko, who we believe is a very good college football coach. In fact, when Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator at Texas A&M for 3 years, they had a 708 win percentage. He leaves, it drops to 480. Like, A&M has all the elements. Yeah. And I told you the other day, I was talking to someone who was talking to Coach Moffitt, and he was saying he thinks it's a 10-win team potentially. That this is the best, most freakish linebacker crew that he's ever had. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm getting a bit scared from an LSU fan perspective, but just from a college football perspective, I am very bullish on the Texas A&M Aggies.
I think the thing I was giggling about was nothing you said, but the most Clemson thing of all time: 64% pre-transfer, 64% post. That is so Clemson. Another team on here that does not change at all. If that doesn't scream just Dabo is Dabo, right there at number 10, they are the same. The only team that is the same with or without the transfers.
No, I mean, to your point, Aaron, I have it right here in my notes. Clemson's culture on display. Like, for what it's worth, Dabo, we can make fun of him, we can clown him, but they know how to find Clemson men. Mm-hmm. Like, they know how to find the player that Clemson appeals to. That said, when you look at the wins and losses for Clemson over the past 2 years, I would put them in the category of underachievers and underperformers. They are losing too many games that are to teams that are just quite simply are not as talented as
quarterback issue.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
should Miami fans, and I know you're going to bring up Christopher, but I mean, where they are with a quarterback this year, could they be a top 3 team in the ACC? Right now, they're number 2 talent-wise.
Tell me what is different than Miami from the last 2 years.
Have they been up here? Have they?
Yes. They were in this exact same spot, blue chip ratio wise, last year. They had Van Dyke, a guy who was all ACC as like a freshman. Like
I feel about Van Dyke.
I mean, but he had an awesome year. Like whether or not you don't like him or not.
No, he had 2 years ago. He did.
Yeah. So no, I don't like now. Granted, okay, that is her. J Dog says, yeah, QB is different. Granted, I do think. Why am I blanking from Washington State? Cam Ward. I do think Cam Ward's way better than Van Dyke.
Way better.
That's fair.
Way better.
But is it like? But how many wins better? Does it push you from 7-6 to 10-3?
9-3. I mean, 10-3 is a damn good season.
Yeah, I would agree.
10-3, you're on the outside looking in. Yeah, you're on the outside looking. You're just on the outside looking to the playoffs.
I just don't buy it from Mario Cristoforo. He's a career 500 coach.
Yeah.
Here's my question: how are Florida and Miami so far ahead of? Well, actually, I mean, I guess they're almost roughly equivalent. After you factor in transfers, Florida at 58%, Miami 56%, and FSU checking in at 53%. But like Mike Norvell is a way better coach than Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal. When you look at doing less or doing more with less, Mike Norvell
is he a better? You can maybe say that about Christopher, and I still think Billy's a good coach, even with some of the mistakes that he had last year. I'm not going to throw out the card that Billy's a bad coach. He's in a very tough conference. No. Like, you can't just say Billy's a bad coach.
Oh, but you can't say anybody's a bad coach here because you don't get these jobs if you're a bad coach. We are talking about bad coach.
You truly believe Christopher's a bad coach.
No, as judge, well, I think he's a 500 coach, what his record is over 12 years, which is bad given what his expectations are.
And I'm not saying that like Billy's a better coach than Norvell. Like I think Norvell is the better coach. I'm just saying like I still think Billy Napier is a good coach who inherited a team in the SEC with some things that needed to be changed.
Look at the chart.
I know.
What did Dan Lanning do with those teams? What did Jim McElwain do with those teams? I like Billy too.
Dan Mullen.
What did Lanning? Yeah, what did Dan Mullen do? Like, again, he had what Billy Napier did at UL. It's fucking crazy. Do you know how hard it is to win at UL, especially at the rate that he did? So, yes, obviously all of these guys, it's like when you say somebody sucks in the NFL. They don't fucking suck.
No.
But we got to be able to have the conversation of judging them against their peers.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that Mike Norvell smashes Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal. He's the king of Florida.
Oh, he's by far the king of Florida. And I think Norvell has been one.
Technically the least amount of talent.
Yes.
Barely.
Norvell has done almost not better than anyone, but he's been one, I would say, top 5, maybe top 10, maybe top 5 coaches that have adapted to the new era of college football.
Yes.
Better than anyone else. He has done, and that's been the big criticism for Dabo at Clemson. Florida State is now taking over your conference because Mike Norvell has been a top 5 coach at evolving in college football while Dabo has stayed stagnant. It's been great to see.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, no, it's an excellent point by you. Like that, the portal is the ladder that Norvell has used to pass up Clemson and Dabo. Bo Molinari says, I actually live in Eugene, Oregon. Cristobal was recruiting really well up here. Oregon became Big ready. Talking about Big Ten ready. Starting with him. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I still think I still think this further step they've taken is much more to do with Dan Lanning. But yeah, Norvell was not, Cristobal's always been a very good recruiter. Objectively, yes. This is true. Well, what about Ohio State here, dude? 90%, 86% after
4% higher. 4%. 9% higher than Georgia.
Yeah.
10% overall
higher than Alabama.
Recruiting, 9% right now in that roster, more talented than Georgia.
Now, again, though, as we said, the position that affects these rankings the most, quarterback.
15% more than Oregon, your next competitor in your conference. 15%.
That's pretty crazy.
That's what. That has to drop. That has to jump out a little bit.
But does Dylan Gabriel represent a 15% gap as compared to Will Howard?
It shouldn't.
No, probably should not.
It shouldn't. But we'll say this: that gap between Ohio State and Michigan, correct me if I'm wrong here, was about the same last year.
Yes, 100%. Ohio State, Alabama, and UGA are always the top three here. And they're always the only ones pushing 80, and they're always the only ones 70.
In Michigan was about the same as it is right now.
Yeah. No. Yes. I'm saying yes, 100%. Yeah.
But JJ McCarthy's not the 30% difference, though.
No, I would say that difference was made up in development and coaching and culture and toughness and committing to a style of play that many people had left behind as for dead in the water. And I think that's what Ohio State has to prove this year. Yeah, you're a lot of flash, but where's the substance? Do you have the culture? Are you tough? And we think they're going to be. Maybe so.
It's just this just continues to me put the pressure on Ryan Day of you've been given everything you need. You have the recruits. You have the coaching staff. I mean, you have one of the best offensive minds, your offensive coordinator now. You went out there and got the best defensive player in the portal. You got the best offensive player in the portal. You got a new quarterback that you think's even just even if he's a tad bit of an upgrade. You should win a championship this season, or at least be in the natty against Georgia, 100%. But that is a massive difference between him, Ohio State, and the next best team in the Big Ten.
It is that may be
the biggest thing to me. Look at this list now. The more you dive into it,
it is interesting to me, though, Aaron, that Ohio State going to be expected to win the natty, but Jalen Milroe's is a much more known quantity. Carson Beck's a much more known quantity. Dylan Gabriel's a much more known quantity. Quinn Ewers. Like, you look at the other contenders and they're all better at the most important position. Again, we talk about the pressure on Ryan Day. I cannot fathom the pressure on Will Howard.
Are we not talking enough about Notre Dame?
I think
it's a pretty talented roster, and I love the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I love the quarterback just yet. You know, not 100% sold on Riley Leonard just as a passer. Great athlete. You know, doesn't really blow my blouse up throwing the football.
Blouse up.
That's a talented roster.
Fucking 80?
Yeah, I am.
Wait, so how about this? Week 1, we are going to get A&M Notre Dame, who are the 8th and 9th most talented. I mean, they're both tied. It's 63% post transfers. You're going to get two of the most talented rosters in the country going toe to toe with Mike Elko, knowing Riley Leonard inside out. I'm a little nervous for Notre Dame in that game. Yep. And it's in College Station, one of the toughest places to win in the entire country. I like Notre Dame. Some of the critical errors made, I mean, especially at the end of that Ohio State game last year, make it hard for me to give myself over to Notre Dame this year.
Yeah.
I think Riley Leonard's probably a better fit than Sam Hartman, but I'm definitely in prove it mode with Freeman and Notre Dame. Great recruiter. But has yet to
mode I wouldn't use the word prove it because I think they're going to.
Well, you're talking about national championship though.
I truly do not believe they're a national championship contender, and I don't know if Notre Dame will ever be a national championship contender. I think Notre Dame is as an independent should be, as we talked about the other day with most teams, a 1 in every 4-year team in the playoffs. I think that's good enough. I think that they could even be 1 in 3 with being an independent team. I think the roster is going to be that good. I do believe in their coaching staff. I just don't know if, as we've seen before, even with Brian Kelly, they will never, in my opinion, have the talent to push through and beat an Ohio State, beat an Alabama, beat a Georgia at a consistent clip to win a championship.
Which is interesting, though, because, again, they're at 67. We've seen multiple national championship teams around that percentage.
Yeah.
It's just that you got to have the quarterback.
You have to have the quarterback.
And I don't know that they have the quarterback. All right, let's do this now to close this conversation up. Let's re-rank these based on who we think will be best.
Can you do it side by side?
No, I'm just going to move this all around.
Okay.
That's why I made this like I did. Do we leave Ohio State at 1?
So we're ranking this on who we truly believe will win a championship.
I think I would put UGA at 1 because of Carson Beck.
I 100% agree. Georgia 1, Ohio State 2.
I would have Alabama at 3. Or would you have Texas at 3?
Man, look at this now. I'd have Oregon at 3.
You'd have
Knowing that
Oregon
they have that
at
kind
3.
of talent with Dylan.
Yeah. I can get there.
And you know how we feel about Dan Lanning on this channel. I do Oregon 3, Alabama 4, Texas 5.
All right, hold on. Let me fix the formatting here. Okay, UGA, Ohio State, Oregon, Alabama, Texas.
This
5.
is really gonna jack up our. This is when it's like we had Oklahoma as a 6-6 team, and if you look at it, this you're like they can't be 6-6. But I mean,
they really bro. I think we may have fucked up on Oklahoma. I think this though. I think we did in all of this schedule talk and all this.
It goes back to quarterback again.
We've uncovered something very important though, which is that Oklahoma is the team that will decide the playoffs, who makes it and who doesn't. We keep talking about this kind of 9-3, 10-2 club, right? It's LSU, Tennessee, Mizzou, Ole Miss. Am I missing anyone? I think that's it.
Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss.
Yeah, LSU, Tennessee, Missouri, Ole Miss.
Yep.
Oklahoma plays all of them.
Yep.
Every single one of them. And that's the swing game that we keep pointing to say you win this, you're 10-2, you lose it, you're not. So yes, Oklahoma, we're going to bump them down this list because I don't think they should be 7 or 6, but again, they may be the most impactful team in all of college football this year. All right, who's 6? Penn State?
I know.
Notre Dame.
Yeah. Notre
Dame 6.
Notre Dame 6. I mean, can we pump Florida State up in here because they are technically post transfer portal in the top 16?
Yes. Let's do that. Hold on here to keep my formatting. All right, there you go.
So I guess are we taking Auburn out of the equation because post portal they're not in the top 50?
We can leave Auburn in here.
Okay. So I'd move Florida State up to 7.
All right. Penn State 8.
Yep. Oklahoma 9.
What? You can't go Oklahoma over LSU if we chose LSU to go 9-3.
All right, fine.
And Oklahoma to go 6-6.
LSU 9, Oklahoma 10, A&M 11.
Oklahoma 10, but you have them going 6-6.
Okay, fine. Oklahoma.
I'm just saying, we got to stand on business.
This is hard. I know. This Oklahoma thing is really putting
Clemson should be 10.
Yeah.
Clemson will still be 10. I mean, right? If we already have FSU on this list, we have FSU ahead of them. Clemson will still be right there.
Yep.
Now we get into kind of the dregs. I'm going to bump Florida all the way down by Auburn. How much respect do we show Michigan?
Michigan will be the 4th best team in the Big Ten, so give them some respect.
Put them behind Clemson at 11.
Yep.
Miami
ahead of Oklahoma.
I don't think so.
But we had Oklahoma at 6-6. You think Miami's a 6-6 football team?
No, I think Miami's an easier conference though.
Does it matter? Which goes into better chance to win championship.
Miami ahead of Oklahoma. God.
Yeah.
Well, I
think that looks good.
Texas A&M at 12. Florida. Okay, we got USC at 15. Then Florida 16, Auburn 17. So these are Snap's top 17 blue chip ratio eligible teams that we think could win a championship. It'd be interesting to compare this list versus your preseason top 25. Let's see. Because who is not in this that
Alabama that we were down on 3 months ago?
No. Because LSU's not top 10 in the country. Oh, Ole Miss.
Missouri.
Ole Miss not on this list.
I'm surprised Tennessee,
Utah. So Tennessee is interesting because somebody asked earlier, will a team ever win a championship that doesn't break the blue chip ratio? And I think someone will. And I think it'll be a team that's close to 50 with a great quarterback. Tennessee's at like 48% or something like that. And they've got your boy, Maliava, excuse me. So if Nico's
there's a
that
team
guy,
next year that jumps, if they can jump into the like lower 50s, mid 50s next year with Nico's second year, like that's a team 2025 that may be that lower 50. Nico can jump them up another 10-15% because of him second year. Could be an interesting discussion, but
they might break the 50% threshold
year
though. The way that
that's what I'm saying. Like next year there'll be a mid 50% threshold, lower 50, but Nico puts him to that, mid 60, 70. If he can prove it to us this year, then that's a team that you're like, okay, if there is a Michigan of the year, a 55% team, which one would it be? It'd probably be Tennessee, but that's for us to discuss 12 months from now.
Yeah. So as you can see, also no Big 12 teams on the blue chip ratio. It is all SEC and Big 10, and it's 8 SEC teams. Just show you how insane that conference is. And then 5 Big 10 and 2 ACC, and then the 1 independent and Notre Dame. Okay. Yeah. Heather Higginbottom says Bud Elliott said Tennessee will jump in. Dennis Feinstein, CEO, says, I'm a UGA fan, but I don't see where the A&M respect is coming from. The schedule is all they have going for them. Well, they apparently have talent going for them as well, I would say.
And a coach that just won at Duke.
They have a coach that won at Duke, and a coach that, again, I think just like he was
there. He was there and had a ton of success. A&M was best when Elko was on the staff.
Yeah, when he was the DC, they had a 708 win percentage, 480 after he left. Yeah. Also, I think culture matters. I think the culture of A&M had really gotten away from Jimbo, and he didn't know how to fix it. Yeah. I think Elko brings a more humble approach, a bit more of a blue collar approach, a bit of a tougher approach. I know Tommy Moffitt reinforces all of these things. And then, as you said, a schedule that, well, actually, we're going to talk A&M schedule. So we'll get into it right now. Here it is, though. Should we save EA Sports top 10 offenses?
What happens if Kalen DeBoer wins a national championship this year?
I'll just like.
Does it diminish anything that Saban did?
No. No. If anything, I mean, you could spin it to say it reinforces what Saban did, that he literally built such a perpetual success machine that even after its creator had died, like the AI machine still went on to rule the world.
I mean, that is wild.
I'll peg myself live on air. We'll do a live stream where I peg myself if Alabama wins the Natty again.
Please save this because that legitimately could happen. That is way more likely than Utah's quarterback going in the first round.
Wait, when did we talk about that? Cam Rising?
I have to shave my head if Cam Rising goes in the first round. Like a month ago.
Yeah. And I have to cut my nuts off if Florida wins the SEC.
And now you have to peg yourself if Alabama wins a Natty and they're the number 2 most talented team in America. So I don't know why you would make that.
I also said I'll cut my nuts off if Derek Carr finishes top 12. If he does, I'm guessing that Derek Carr is going to finish as a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. That feels pretty dumb. But whatever. Zach says, bro, this is in Florida winning the SEC. This could happen. We'll see. We'll see, man. I'm going to need a good pegging if you're going to tell me that I'm still going to live under the heel of Crimson oppression even after Nick Saban finally left. By the way, guys, hit the like button if you're watching online. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. All right, let's save our EA Sports top 10 offenses.
Yeah, I agree.
And we can do that that's pretty evergreen, and they'll have defenses probably by then as well. And let's go ahead and dive into Texas A&M record prediction.
Bustin' and Pagan is snaps. Go dog.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
That's right, baby. One leads to the other.
I agree with Penzi here. T-Bob is low-key trying to get pegged. Be for real. I'm with you. I just said it. He is.
I've been playing around a bit with the male G-spot lately.
Hey, no, another show. Here we go.
Look, I can't help it that I just stand on business. Okay, even if it's anal business, I stand on it. Guys, the male G-spot does not involve penetration, by the way. Okay, look it up. Read a book. How about that? Okay, Notre Dame at Texas A&M. This would firmly go in the toss-up category, even though I am becoming more of a Texas A&M lean by the day.
I'm with you on that one.
Kyle Field is pushing me across the finish line for the Aggies.
Nighttime, Kyle Field. All right, toss up, but I'm leaning more A&M. But we'll
hold on. Let me get my formatting ready. Okay, toss-up game. Okay. McNeese win at Florida. Win. Bowling Green win. Arkansas.
Is Florida going to be in the same category of Oklahoma soon too, where they're playing a lot of these teams and they could be?
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah,
and they have
we keep counting Florida as losses.
And what's the big? This is a really interesting discussion here. What's the big difference between Florida and Oklahoma? You have two teams, very similar blue chip ratio. Mm-hmm. We have one team who we talk about. I know you don't believe in Florida's quarterback, but a quarterback that is experienced, that did have success last year in the SEC.
They had great numbers. They were just empty numbers, but
they're still better than Oklahoma's quarterback, who has not played. One game he did play was not great in the bowl game, but that doesn't really count. But still, you have a quarterback that I would say you believe more in Florida's than Oklahoma's. Two unproven coaches. Like, why can't we say Florida could be in the same boat as Oklahoma?
Because even though he was in an easier conference, I saw Brent Venables win 10 games last year. And again, we're low on Oklahoma, to be clear.
No, I know.
I've seen Billy Napier.
Oklahoma could be the big team that makes a lot of things shake in the SEC.
Billy Napier, though, with these, and so could Florida for that reason. I just believe that Oklahoma's history and
have you done Florida yet?
Yeah, we did Florida. I'll look it up. But Florida, I've seen Billy Napier go 6 and 7 and 5 and 7. 6 and 7 and 5 and 7. So like with the exact same talent levels. And Anthony Richardson 1 year, and then Graham Mertz 1 year.
So FYI, by the way, notes, we had toss up Florida A&M.
In the Florida game we did.
Yes.
So then let's put it as a toss up.
It's like we
had Florida going 5 and 7. Oh.
Yeah. I think you look at the blue chip ratio and Graham Mertz returning, it's like, why can't Florida, as we know, we're down on because of the schedule, but they're talented enough to still win a couple games. Maybe we don't expect them to, and be in Oklahoma.
And it's at Florida. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, A&M's not so there that they should not be a toss up there. That's correct. All right. So toss up. Then win against Bowling Green, win against Arkansas, Mizzou, and College Station.
I think
we probably had this as a for sure win for Mizzou, but is that right?
No way, we had a for sure win.
Yeah, we did.
Damn.
Oh wait, no, my bad. We had it as a toss up. We had at A&M and Oklahoma as a toss up. Okay, so yet another toss up game. Getting these games at home though, critical for Texas A&M. At Mississippi State, dub. LSU toss up again at home though. At South Carolina, dub. New Mexico State, dub. At Auburn, I'll go dub there. And then Texas again though, at home. Are you going Texas for sure loss?
I'm going Texas for sure loss.
Okay, because right now we don't have any on there. Okay.
Yep.
So, but 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are at 7-1 with the toss-up games being Notre Dame at Florida, Mizzou, and LSU. Notre Dame, Mizzou, and LSU all at home. You win 2 of those, you go 9-3.
Woo! You believe in your boy Moffitt now? They got a great home schedule.
Great home schedule. Best in the country. Notre Dame, I mean, just from a spectator standpoint, from a challenge standpoint, hard, but you get to watch.
You don't have those games at home then on the road.
Yeah. You get to watch Notre Dame, you get to watch Mizzou, you get to watch LSU, and you get to watch Texas in your stadium this year. Are we saying they go 9-3?
I mean, they got the talent. I think Elko's a good coach. You got the quarterback. You think you go 9-3 year one?
Did it at Duke? I mean, much easier schedule,
but still less talent. Though.
Well, yeah, but like much harder to do. Actually, probably.
Yeah.
Also, you got to remember these Aggie players have just had shit shoveled down their throat for multiple years now. And when people are shitting all over you and somebody comes in and empowers you and makes you believe, and then maybe you snag a Notre Dame week 1 that just becomes this like confident launching pad to carry yourself forward with. Also, that would be a really bad look for Marcus Freeman to lose week 1 when he's in year number 3 and Mike
Scroll down real quick. What's the last game this season?
Texas in College Station.
I'll go 9-3. I think 9-3 is it.
I feel like 9-3 as well.
I think 9-3 is it. Even if you like jack up.
I think you probably win at Florida. I think you probably win at Florida. So then you just have to win.
I have more confidence than beating Notre Dame than them going to Florida and winning.
No.
I think week 1, you have the games at home. You're going to be ultra focused. I think week 3 going to Florida may be a little bit sneaky. Might sneak up on you a little bit.
I think you probably win at Florida, and then you just got to get one of Notre Dame, Mizzou, LSU at home, and you're 9-3.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
9-3. It's a hell of a year.
A&M. Is A&M back? Shout out Bo Melnary, our resident A&M homie. God, it's fucking crazy, man. Anyway, let's wait on South Carolina. We can do them later. They don't really matter. And then we can move on to the Big Ten as well.
Yeah, let's do it. On to the Big Ten.
Well, Zach says 8-4. Do they do that at UGA? LSU fans call them Texas 8-4 instead of Texas A&M. I didn't know if that was a league-wide thing or just.
That is the first I've ever heard of that.
Oh, okay. God, yeah. Aaron Avomar's money says fucking Disney birds in Aaron's background. You do just have the perfect amount of bird song.
It is beautiful out here. God, I love it.
I can't wait.
Boat this afternoon. Kind of go around the lake. Just need to end the fucking stream.
Shepherd Ducks. How do you guys?
Actually, I can end the stream.
How do you guys feel about Klatt saying Colorado has a good chance of making the Big 12 title? That seems fucking insane. There's like a lot of good. There's about 8 teams that I would think could win the Big 12 almost, but none of them would be Colorado.
Colorado was also really high in them to start last year too. And would they finish off?
Bad.
3 wins?
Maybe 4. They did not get over 4.5. That bet that I made because they blew it against Stanford. They finished 4-8.
Oof.
All right. That'll do it for today's show.
I
hope you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for everybody for hanging out. Again, guys, I'm going to go upload the pod right after this, but if you want to help out the show, you can sub to the channel. We're even starting to get breakouts put up again, right?
Dude, the breakouts been kicking ass. Appreciate you. We got another breakout coming tomorrow. And I think we're right on the verge of getting the 16K. We should get 16K by next week. We're 59.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. We love you. Please help us grow this. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's a little weird being out here on our own. And so knowing that you guys are supporting and enjoying it really makes it all worth it, because I do think this is the most fun part of my day every single day. We love you, and we will see you Monday. Teddy.